I'm disappointed. How dare you guys not comment on this YouTube post? I asked, hey, give me some shows. I only got this dude, Jared, who told me to watch Solo Leveling. And that was it. But in all seriousness, it's on me for having the expectation to get a bunch of comments on this. I have only like 400 subscribers and interaction on my videos is kind of low. So it honestly was a pretty low chance that I was actually going to get comments on this actually giving me recommendations. I thought, oh, if I ask people to give me shit, they'll be more interested because they're like, I want him to talk about this show that I like. Whatever, that's I guess not the case right now. I only got Jared over here. It's funny because his recommendation is barely acceptable because the TV show aired in the winter, but this recap movie airs this season, so it technically counts. I'm gonna be talking about the show at like the end of the video or wherever I feel fit. And I did say I would, so, you know, shout out for Jared for being the only person who commented on this. Thank you. Since my fucking fans have let me down so hard, I've decided to consult the one person that would not let me down, my AI girlfriend. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT what seasonal anime I should watch. So what I wrote down is, hey beautiful, I am so bored. Can you recommend me 5 randomly selected anime from the fall 2024 anime season? I'll do whatever you want if you do, smiley face. Please see this as reference. Let's see what it gives me. These better be from this season. All right. God damn it, I don't think any of these are from the fucking season, dude. Yeah, these are not from this season. Are these even real? These aren't even real. These aren't real fucking anime, dude. Oh my god. Okay. Okay, let's see if it actually okay, these are definitely real. Zom 100 is real, Jujutsu Kaisen is real. Though I don't want sequels. The one condition was not sequels, all right? Also, none of those are airing right now. God, this thing is so stupid, dude. People were right. Fucking ChatGPT is so fucking stupid. This is gonna be very anticlimactic, but I think I'm just gonna have to use a fucking random number generator for this. Whoops. All right. Give me 5 random between 1 and 45. Okay. Jesus Christ. So 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That'd be Ranma. I've never watched Ranma, and technically it's not a sequel, it's just a remake, so it's fine. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Alright, that's a sequel, so I can't use that. 22, 23. So this is real. I'll be checking this out. 31. Is this a sequel? No. Okay. 31, 32. Acro Trip. Yeah, you're going in here. This is what I get for thinking that AI is intelligent. All right. Artificial intelligence? More like artificial dumb. Number 17 is the only thing that didn't fit my criteria, so give me one random number between 1 and 45. Okay. 27. 24, 27. Do-over damsel conquers the dragon emperor. Sure. I have no idea if any of these shows are good or not. I did watch Kiribukun's video on Ranma Half, the new one, but that's about it. I have no idea about anything. I didn't watch Giguk's video. I didn't watch any other people's fucking videos about the seasonal anime. I personally take ratings with a grain of salt because I know that my taste in anime doesn't align with popular anime, I guess. I guess I'll get to watching those, and I have to talk about Solo Leveling. I already watched it, so I'll tack that on whenever. Yeah, here's the list. Ranma Half, Suma Shogakusei Ninaru, 365 Days to the Wedding, Acro Trip, and The Do-Over Damsel Conquerors the Dragon Emperor. Cool stuff. I hope ChatGPT recommended me some good stuff here. I'll see you when I start watching these shows. Haha. Sup, I'm back. I watched the first 2 things on this list, which are Ranma Half and however you pronounce this, which translates roughly to my wife got reincarnated as a little girl. Since Ranma's first on the list, let's go with that. Right off the bat, I was pretty surprised by this visually. The art style is pretty faithful to the original manga, but it also has like that modern sleekness to it and a pretty vibrant color palette that I really like. So it's sort of a good balance between being faithful and having those modern luxuries, I guess, that we have, which is really nice. A lot of scenes are comic-esque, which is something I think is pretty cool. And it's not so outlandish that it's super distracting either. It's good to have a nice, interesting visual style, I think. And I really like this art and animation in this ED. It's very cutesy, very bouncy, you know. It's super cute. I really enjoy this a lot. The quality of the animation is also pretty good. I hope the quality of the animation stays consistently high, considering this will probably be quite a long series, assuming that they adapt everything. The pacing of the show feels pretty fast. Maybe that's because it's actually getting through the story and there's not much filler so far. I remember in the Caribou-kun video. The Caribou-kun video, he basically talked about how fucked up the adaptation was for the original Ranma. There was arcs that didn't really make sense, how they adapted it, and a lot of filler episodes. It made it feel strangely paced and it, you know, jumbled up the story. But in this, it seems like it's adapting it properly and it's properly, you know, paced. People were complaining that he was taking it too seriously and that Ranma is an episodic series that doesn't really have a plot, but there's full story arcs here. Like, even in the first little bit of the show, episodes 6 and 7 actually follow a full story arc with this girl here challenging Akane to a battle, right? And it actually follows it properly. It makes logical sense. And it still feels fast-paced, you know? Like, there's no filler here at all, which is really good. I really appreciate that, since, you know, fucking manga series has been done for who knows how long. I was pretty surprised by how much I like the humor in the show, despite kind of getting exhausted of the typical, you know, over-the-top anime humor. I think it's because it doesn't really dwell on its jokes so much, and it's pretty snappy about it. The show really likes to get on with it, you know what I mean? Oftentimes, anime comedies drag out jokes really long, which I really don't like. It's like a Family Guy bit. One thing I could think was in Gamers. Like, I remember this part in Gamers where they have this like 5-way meltdown, and I didn't find it that funny because it's such a drawn out thing. It serves better as, I guess, a dramatic moment with all the complicated character relationships in this, but I just didn't find it funny because I feel like, okay, I get the joke. Like, can we move on? And I've seen so much shit where it's, oh, characters freaking out, that I've kind of become desensitized to it. With Ranma, it just likes to move on with its stupid shit. Yeah, like, see how fucking Ranma didn't like freak out. It was like, what? How's that not Ryoga, you know? It was just this stupid bit of pouring hot water on the dumbass dog, and then they move on with the conversation. It doesn't have to stop itself for the humor, which I really like. It keeps itself going, which is great. And there's quite a few running jokes in the show, but they never get stale. I like how he connects this weirdo with the crazy bitch turning out to be his sister. So I feel like it finds ways to overlap its humor in refreshing ways, which makes the comedy a lot less stale, which is really nice. It integrates, I guess, the character lore in an engaging way. I think it's cool. The show can be a bit tropey. You know, Kane's a little bit of a tsundere. Ranma can be kind of a too cool for school kind of guy. Sort of like a shonen protagonist or fucking Sonic the Hedgehog. It doesn't help that I watched this mostly dubbed. I swear to God, every shonen protagonist sounds like fucking Sonic the Hedgehog with its peppy, you know, upbeat personality, a bit cocky, you know. And they all sound like Sonic the Hedgehog when they do the shonen thing, I swear.
What exactly is going on here?
What do you mean?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Fucking aloof, relaxed, young, cool guy, you know. Like I said, like Sonic the Hedgehog. But the thing is about these tropes is that you almost can't blame for being like this. The shit was written in the 80s. The tsundere and the shonen protagonist weren't exhausted up to this point, so you can kind of forgive it because there wasn't the hindsight there when it was written. So I don't mind it that much. It helped popularize these tropes, and I can see why. These characters aren't too obnoxious, and their interactions are pretty fun. I think it's done pretty well. At the very least, their stupid personalities get them into fun action scenarios. Compared to all the psychos that Rama and Akane run into, they feel a lot more down to earth and grounded, I feel, which makes them a lot more engaging as characters, I think. And in general, Rama is actually really fun and engaging with its action scenes and its humor. It's really nice visual style. I ended up watching more than I thought I would. The idea in my head is that I'd watch like 3 or 4 episodes and then give my thoughts. With all the aspects of this show combined, I found that I caught up to the show as of recording, and I will be watching more of this. I can see why Rama's a classic. It's a really fun show. I won't be keeping up week by week, but I will wait a bit and then watch a few episodes at a time. And that's sort of the thing with seasonal anime. I hate watching stuff week to week. So watching seasonal anime is just such a chore for me, you know, because most of the time I watch shows in chunks. I don't watch one episode at a time. I rarely binge shows, so it's just like in a day I'll watch like 3 episodes and then the next day I'll watch 3 episodes. With seasonal watching, I have to wait weekly, and that's so fucking painful. So that's why I wasn't engaged with fucking seasonal anime for a really long time. Alright, so I decided to re-record this section on this show. My wife got reincarnated as a little girl because I think I just rambled emotionally too much. And plus I did watch 365 Days to the Wedding and Acro Trip, so I have my thoughts on those. And plus there's some contrast there, so I think it'll be fun to talk about these shows back to back. So yeah, let's get to My Wife Got Reincarnated as a Little Girl. I really like this one. It's a bit of a tearjerker. There's a lot of emotional moments in here. I like how there's no bullshit in this show. The characters are very straightforward and honest with their feelings, and just generally how the show navigates itself is very straightforward, which I really appreciate. Like, for example, when the mom finds out she's reincarnated as a little girl, it's basically like my past memories came back to me all of a sudden, and now I'm here. They didn't have to explain this like voodoo magic of how this shit happened. They just explained, oh, this thing happened, instead of making up some magic system that they have to explain for like 5 minutes. And it's very straightforward with how it deals with its character drama as well, which is really good. So the daughter is really upset, thinking that her dad moved on from her mother, who just got reincarnated as the little girl. And instead of doing this shit for several episodes, they're thinking, what could it possibly be that's making her so upset? She actually confronts her dad about it, and she has a talk with her mom about it, and they sort their shit out within the same episode. It's really refreshing to see characters who are so honest and willing to sort through their relationship issues that it honestly surprised me. I was not expecting something like this, and I really appreciate it for not wasting my time. It's really nice and wholesome to see, you know, these people actually want to get along and improve their relationship, because, you know, you haven't seen your fucking mom in 10 years. You think she's gone forever and now she's back. You kind of want to cherish that relationship and make sure it's good. That's why the daughter was so upset that she thought her dad was dating someone else. It's really wholesome because there's no fucking like sexual tension between these two. He really is dedicated to his wife who came back, and this lady just appreciates him as a friend. No infidelity here, no spicy drama, just straightforward and simple shit here. So much anime, there's so many misunderstandings that the characters see and they keep to themselves, making up some fucking conspiracy theories about shit. Even in Rama, there's that, oh, it's not like I like you or anything type of shit that you see it so much, and it gets kind of tiresome. And it keeps happening, and the relationship develops excruciatingly slow. You know, the shit is fucking 400 chapters long, right? But it's really nice seeing characters actually being proactive and trying to sort their shit out. Even though I appreciate this a lot, the show can be a little too fast-paced at sometimes. It can be a bit disorienting. The daughter gets in a relationship with this guy from work-related stuff. You don't really see him very often. He's maybe in like 4 or 5 different scenes, and you don't really see much of their relationship throughout the show up until this point. So it's kind of fucking weird to see him screaming about how much she loves this girl. It's kind of shocking because you don't really see how the relationship develops. So it's kind of weird seeing him so committed to this lady, and it feels just kind of out of nowhere and very awkward to see. And generally, this show is pretty wholesome. When his wife comes back, he doesn't care about the physical form. He's just glad that the person who loves him the most, who's his biggest support in his life, is back in his life, not physically beautiful person is back. And plus, there's nothing sexual about him and this, reincarnation of a child. He says some weird shit. Oh, I love my wife, this small child, which sounds weird, but obviously he's saying it with good intentions, because he's talking about the personality of this 40-year-old woman in this fucking little girl's body. He doesn't actually want to like fuck her, because Lord knows there's too much weird shit with anime and little kids, whether it be little boys and girls, Shota and Lolly or whatever. Like, he only cares about her as a personality, as the support in his life, you know what I mean? And not so much about his sexual attraction. He could have had more kids. He was married to her for like 10 plus years before she died. He had plenty of time to have more kids. He could have had sex with her in her adult form a lot more if he wanted to, but he genuinely loved her as a person and is very glad she's back. And that's what I like about it. It's promoting these very healthy relationships that I think people should strive for when developing their own relationships, and what they should be looking for within said relationships. It isn't this self-serving asshole or whatever, but actually someone who wants to see you happy and support you and wants to see you get better. And it's obvious shit, I know. I'm not a genius for thinking that having positive influences in your life will turn you into a more positive person, whether it be romantic partners or family or whatever, but it's nice to have a reminder of these sort of things once in a while, and that's what you should be looking for in relationships, whether it be romantic or familial, especially I guess romantic ones, because you can't choose family, but you can choose your partner, so you have to be careful that you actually pick someone who will help you live a fulfilling and positive life, rather than having these fucking messy relationships where it's super toxic. I like how this show is showing that with how, the mom comes back into their lives and immediately tries to make the daughter and the husband's life better, talking about their issues, and helping them sort through that shit. And it sort of reaffirms what I've seen in my own experience. I've never been in a relationship, but from what I've seen from people I've talked to, this seems to be the core thing of being willing to support each other throughout your relationship. Obviously my parent, they've been together for 20 plus years with little issue because they've been so supportive of each other through thick and thin. It's obvious when you see it, I guess, why that's successful. But even my one friend, he's been seeing this girl for a really long time, like a few years. He's mentioned from time to time that his girlfriend has gone through a few hardships. He really wants to support her through that. He only mentions it fairly briefly. He doesn't really get into detail. So it seems that, he talks about these things out of genuine interest for this person that he really cares about, and not because, oh, I'm flexing, I have a girlfriend on you. He wants to see her happy and healthy. And I think to myself, man, that's really nice of him. I'm glad he's, this supportive person. And he's very encouraging of our friends in our friend group as well. So I'm glad I'm friends with this dude who's a genuinely supportive and kind person. And I'm glad that his relationship is going so well. You can also see it with the little girl and her mom. The mom was really abusive before, right? And she was very miserable, partly because of that. Also partly because of how poorly men have treated her in her life, and partly with how abusive her own mother was. She saw the errors in her ways, and she tries her best to become more communicative with her daughter, and being that responsible parent who looks after her kids, cooking and making sure she's doing well. And guess what? Both people are a lot happier that the mother actually has taken responsibility to care for her daughter and invest in the daughter's happiness. And it's really uplifting seeing this show promote such uplifting ideas. It sort of rubs off on you. It's very lovely to see. My only real criticism is that this show is just kind of visually bland, but like whatever, it's mostly a show about its writing and its characters, so it doesn't really matter that much. I ended up enjoying this show a lot, and I actually caught up with the show. I got teary-eyed a lot. There's a lot of heavy emotional moments in here, and I think if you like positive shows, then this is a pretty good show that I think a lot of people should watch, because I found it pretty good. In contrast, we have 365 Days to the Wedding, Ring, which is a show I didn't really like that much, sadly. And it's sort of the polar opposite of the previous show, where the characters are so straightforward and honest with each other. This one, it's fully based off of lies and deceit, and it's not even justifiable why they would lie about this bullshit. How these characters end up in the situation that they get themselves in, it's just mind-blowingly stupid. So basically, the characters work at a travel agency, and single people in a year will be transferred to Alaska, and the characters don't want to go to Alaska. But their reasons are so stupid. So the guy doesn't want to go to Alaska because of his cat. You can fucking move with your animals. People do that all the time. And it doesn't seem like that difficult. Like, it seems just that all you really need to do is check if your cat has any diseases. That's it. Maybe from Japan to Alaska it's different, but it doesn't seem like it's too far-fetched to move with your fucking animal. And this girl doesn't want to go to Alaska because it's cold, and she thinks the mosquitoes are gigantic. But it's really fucking stupid because this chick loves fucking traveling and maps. So, you know, like, look at this shit. Isn't fucking Alaska beautiful? Why wouldn't you go here if you like traveling? Look how pretty that is, dude. And she's sort of a loner too, so having the low density population of Alaska would probably be nice for her. It's not even that much colder in Alaska. 18 degrees Celsius? What is that in American? What, 60 degrees Fahrenheit? That's like a perfect autumn day, and she's fucking complaining about it. You have insane winters in Japan, all right? There's a lot of snow there. You can handle Alaska, all right? The reasoning is so stupid because it's not even like good reasons. It's like, what, your cat, and oh, it's too cold in Alaska. Like, we see later on, the guy has a pretty tight-knit family. If he actually had good reasons to stay in Japan, it's hard to visit my family who's a billion miles away when I'm in Alaska. So it's not very convincing why these characters would go out of their way to pretend to get married. It's pretty annoying that the characters are lying for such lame reasons. I'm not as annoyed by the characters lying to their coworkers than I am annoyed by the characters lying to themselves. It does that anime thing where it's like, am I actually falling in love with this person? Oh. And the guy goes through an arc of thinking that she hates him, even though in reality she's starting to fall in love with him. And it's just this stupid thing of misinterpretations that I see so much in anime that just fucking causes so many roadblocks in these stories. There's a confession scene. They end up doubting the validity of that confession, and we're back to fucking square one. Like, you may as well not waste half a fucking episode doing this bullshit. It goes from characters being suspicious about each other's feelings to finally being honest, and then back to being fucking suspicious again. No progression is made there. It's really annoying. So many stupid rom-coms or whatever do this. Like I said, with Ranma, an egregious example is fucking Rent-a-Girlfriend. And I swear, I don't know why it's every anime. It's so much more interesting to see characters actually be in their fucking romantic relationships, because so many anime want to do this thing where it's like, oh, it's about the journey, man. Getting to the relationship is such an interesting journey, but I've seen that shit too much. I like Chunibyo season 2, despite people having a lot of problems with it, because it actually explores the relationship between these two otaku weirdos who love cosplay. Like, I'm so starved for that this quote-unquote worst season is one of the few shows that actually does a decent job of exploring characters who are actually in a relationship in their weird roleplay way. And it's so tiring seeing this shit where we're just gonna delay the inevitable because the characters are eventually gonna get there in the end, and we're not gonna see how they actually function in the fucking relationship. You know, the more interesting part, rather than, oh, getting to know the person and being too nervous to ask them out. Because I think it's a mistake to think that getting to actually officially, you know, dating is the end of the relationship. That's not the end. That's only a step in the journey. The journey ends when you either break up or you die. That's how actual relationships work, not this bullshit with this floundering and finagling that rom-com anime do. That's so frustrating to see over and over and over over and over and over again. Even in the show I was just talking about, you know, the guy and his wife were married 10 plus years before she died, and it's really nice to see them actually connect as people who 100% know that they love each other. It's really interesting to see. Rom-com shit is just really annoying when it wants to interrupt when, you know, progress is about to happen, because I do legitimately want to see characters who are actually in romantic relationships, you know, because I actually want to see that official relationship between the characters. It's sort of annoying delaying and dodging in this show is kind of accentuated by how much the show likes to delve into its side plots. There's this episode with this fucking princess where she's like, I'm not actually happy in my royal relationship, I want to be with this lady. I don't understand why she doesn't admit this. You're European, all right? You're zesty as hell automatically. People will understand if you want to be with a woman. There's this dude who's getting a divorce, and this dude getting cold feet when it comes to his relationship with this lady. It's only used to bring up this lame idea of marriage is really complicated. It's really tough making such a commitment. It's like, dude, yeah, duh. It's very basic and very uninteresting. Like, there's only ever one line of commentary after these predicaments. It's like, marriage is so tough. But I don't know, it's not very interesting. They don't really go that much in depth into it. You know, the show would be alleviated a little bit if the characters had actually fun interactions, but they're so boring. Like, our main couple here, there's more chemistry in a glass of water than between these two. This guy's like a passive, confused idiot, and this girl's sort of like a distant, monotone girl, and they're just so boring. There's only one good scene between these two so far. Well, I mean, I guess two. He admits that he enjoyed his time with her. I mean, that's kind of cute, and them teaching these kids about the mountains. I think it's nice seeing them interact with each other in an actually meaningful way instead of being these like super dry, uninteresting characters. They talk about their past and interests with each other, but that's about it, really. They very rarely interact with each other in an actually interesting way, aside from like those two fucking interactions. The only other interactions are, how do we navigate this social interaction, where they don't really, you know, do anything like fun or interesting. It's so dry, man. Even in Rent-a-Girlfriend, you know, a show that's also full of lies and deceit, Chizuru thinks that Kazuya is an endearing moron, and Kazuya is the fucking simp of the century. There's at least a little bit of fucking fun interactions between these characters in the show, if nothing else. I'm not saying Rent-a-Girlfriend's better, but I just wish these characters weren't so fucking flat. Like, please, just something. There is a manga that's like 100 chapters long, and maybe it gets better, but man, from what I've seen so far, it's not looking too good. I'm a firm believer of first impressions. Like, I can tell if I'm not gonna like a whole show from the first couple episodes. And guess what? In the first couple shows I talked about, I saw some really good shit in here. I watched more of it, and it was good. With this show, I actually caught up. It went through a lot of tropey anime shit that I don't like, and guess what? It continued to do that. I could be wrong, obviously, you never know, but if you tell me a manga is better, I automatically don't take you seriously, because everyone says that about every manga ever. So I always take it with a grain of salt, because that statement means nothing to me. There's a lot of core issues in here, being tropey, not very interesting characters. Those things don't get fixed later on most of the time. I don't think I'm crazy for doubting you if you say a manga is better, you know? That's my thoughts on this. I ended up catching up to this one. I'm in this so deep that I may as well fucking finish it, but man, it's not looking good at all. Alright, so next we're gonna be talking about Acro Trip. That shit with Ranma I was talking about, how characters are one-dimensional, it sort of drags on jokes a little bit. That's this show. This little girl, she's a fan of this magical girl, Berry Blast, whatever the fuck her name is. She either spends all of her time fucking fangirling about her, or like talking about how fucking stupid the villain guy is. She's so brain rotted into wanting to watch magical girls fighting that agrees to become the accomplice of the villain dude. And she spends most of her time watching all this bullshit on fucking television anyway. Like, why are you so invested in this one magical girl? Fucking watch Sailor Moon, man. I don't know. And she's not the only annoying one, right? The villain guy is actually just this bumbling idiot who's pretty useless outside of fucking magical scenarios. It feels like he's only written to be this idiot. He's not even lovable. Like, he doesn't even have like good intentions. He fucking is willing to kidnap a fucking kid and force her to be his accomplice. He does actually trick her into becoming his accomplice and sign a contract, which is a bit I do actually find funny because it turns out he was lying. It's very believable that his magic is limited because he is such a useless person who always gets his ass kicked by the fucking magical girl. It's not even a good looking show either. Why does it look like your eyes have jaws and, you know, these triangle eyes? There's like too much going on with these characters' eyes. It does this ugly ass chibi thing as well. I don't know why you have to change the art style in these random comedic scenes when all your other comedic scenes are in the regular art style. I don't really get that at all. Also, this show revolves on fucking a magical girl fighting with this super evil villain dude. The animation isn't even that good in particular either, so if you're hoping for good action scenes in this stupid fucking anime, you're not gonna be getting that. And the fight scenes aren't even that frequent. It's more about the characters saying stupid shit to each other and being lame cartoon characters to each other. I'm a fucking Saturday morning fucking villain. She's here to save the day. Isn't she so awesome? Wow. Why are these people fighting anyway? Just for television? Like, we learned that the cat dude, he records the fights and he puts the fights on TV. So it kind of feels pointless having these fights, you know? There's no like world domination or whatever. I mean, she's fighting against evil, I guess, but the evil isn't even a threat anyway. I feel like a lot of this is just kind of pointless, which is the point, but it's not even funny. It's not a very good looking show, in my opinion. I will say this. I listened to this opening. I immediately thought to myself, oh wait, this is Inori Minase, which means I've been playing too much Osu because there are plenty of Inori Minase songs in that game. I can recognize her voice immediately. I'm sorry if I didn't have much to say about this one. There's not a lot here to go through. It's just a simple comedy show that I didn't think was very funny, that has, you know, anime humor. The action scenes aren't even good. The characters aren't even particularly interesting. So that's all I had to say about that. So mixed feelings in this batch. I need to watch The Do-Over Damsel Conquers the Dragon Emperor, and then I have to talk about Solo Leveling. That'll probably be in the next session I record, so see you then. Alright, I'm back with hopefully the last recording. Done with this last show. I just gotta get through this and Solo Leveling. The last show that the AI picked for me is The Do-Over Damsel Conquers the Dragon Emperor. This one's sort of in the same category of Acro Trip, where it's just kind of just mediocre all around. Not really a whole lot of good here to say, sadly. The show's about this chick. She's in a conflict with this fucking war criminal over here. He only used her for her combat ability as well as to cover up for him wanting to fuck his sister. But she gets killed and reincarnates. It's kind of reincarnation. It's kind of time travel. She reverts back like 6 years ago when she was a little girl before she got married to that blonde guy. Yeah, the show is so weirdly tone deaf. Like, there's some taboo themes of fucking incest and there's a bunch of fucking war crimes that happen. But also, it wants to be like this comedy thing with this like goofy but also it wants to be like a goofy comedy. Oh, isn't this guy a fucking loser who's terrible at his job of being a supervillain? But instead, it's with this girl being like, isn't it so creepy that this adult man is so head over heels over this fucking child? It's very one-dimensional in its humor, like that show, I feel. And it's so weird, too, knowing that this dude is a fucking war criminal who burns down villages, who kills women and children, or has that potential, because no, technically it didn't happen yet. He's not 100% a good person before he becomes this war criminal, right? This guy who she picks instead of the blonde guy who wants to fuck his sister, right? Like, he's still a monster. He's like, oh, what if I fucking kill your children? But then it just wants to portray him as, oh, he's like this soft guy who really wants to marry this child, you know? It's just so weird, dude. There's just so much shit here where tonally all over the place. And I don't think inherently that's wrong. If you could do both well and you can fit them together in a really neat way, then yeah, it could be good. I don't know, this show just wants to do both, but doesn't do either very well. Like I said, the humor is kind of one-dimensional. It's just like her being annoyed at the guy for being such a fucking idiot. It's just a lot of her pointing out, oh, that's dumb, isn't it? But then it wants to be like this epic fucking fantasy thing where people fight. It makes sense that these two guys would fight over her because it turns out she's actually just insanely overpowered. Like, look at this shit. She just lifts a ship by herself and tosses it. And the dude was saying like, oh, she has so much fucking power condensed within her. So she would be an asset as like a warrior. So I guess that's why the blonde guy wanted her as a cover up. And that's part of the reason this guy wants to be with her so bad, not just because he wants to fuck children. Her being so fucking insanely overpowered kind of defeats any tension the show could have, because there's like these warring factions who are fighting each other, but she could fucking throw ships and beat battalions by herself. So it's like, why don't you just fucking kill your enemies when you have this overpowered little girl on your side? If the world was cool, whether it be visually or within its ideas, it would have been kind of cool, but it just feels like a generic fantasy thing. It wants to do a lot of different things at once. Like, you know, there's dragons, there's dudes with guns, but also there's like knights and dudes with armor and shit. It feels like all over the place. There's no real consistency here, I feel, just generally. And it doesn't help that there's a billion scenes of exposition dumping and backstories and shit. So it's just a lot of these characters standing in these generic looking fantasy backgrounds just blabbing away instead of actually taking part of the cool action for most of it. They duke it out sometimes, but for the most part, it really is just characters just sitting in fantasy worlds, just saying stupid shit to each other. I'd be more inclined to listen to this stupid dialogue of them explaining shit if the universe was actually cool. For example, look at fucking Made in Abyss. Look how... I haven't watched Made in Abyss, but if they do a lot of exposition dumping, I'd actually want to listen to that because of how cool this fucking world looks. Fucking Attack on Titan, like, this city is visually striking, and what's up with those titans, you know? This shit's just about like some warring factions with their goofy ass outfits. You only learn, oh, these guys were at war with each other. That's basically it, really. It's visually pretty uninteresting, and the characters are kind of one-dimensional. There's this woman whose backstory is that, oh, she's just a yandere, that's it. I know, I feel like things in this are just not presented in a way that is very interesting. I've actually watched a good amount of this show, but it somehow just feels so shallow to me. I probably won't finish this one. Open the manga, shut up. I watched like 6 episodes of this. You had enough time to get me hooked in, and you failed. Sorry. So finally we get to solo leveling. Shoutouts to Jared for being the only person who commented on my YouTube post. So I will be talking about that. And I actually liked the show. It was pretty good. It's so funny to think that the show is basically a mix of Sword Art Online and Goblin Slayer. Depending on your thoughts on those shows, that's either the worst thing you've ever heard in your life or the greatest compliment to this show. For me, it's basically 2 wrongs make a right. And I can see why it's popular. Conceptually, it's very intriguing. This dude got reincarnated, and it's in a world where people do raids and shit like it's a video game. So, oh, it's like a video game. My life is like a video game, trying hard to beat the stage. You can relate to it because you're also a gamer. A little bit about the story, I guess. So this dude is a guy who gets fucked up by even the lowest level monsters, and then he gets revived, and he's able to level up, which apparently wasn't a thing in this universe, which is so dumb. How it basically works is that in this universe, you're basically assigned how good you would be at fighting all the fucking monsters or whatever that are invading the world. Like this chick, she's S tier, but most people would be like D tier or C tier, right? You could gain skills, but you can't really get more strong. You can only gain skill laterally, you know what I mean? You could just gain more skills to fight the things that are at your level. And that's so stupid because our main character guy, he's assigned E tier, so he's just pure dog shit at fighting. So I don't understand why he would just keep doing this. His justification motivation is that he could get stones to sell for money so that he could pay for his sister's college. Also, he wants to get this elixir of life because his mom is sick and he thinks that'll cure his mom's disease. Instead of risking his life before he got reincarnated as a bottom bitch E tier, instead of doing that shit, he could have went to college and become a fucking medical researcher, get loads of money so he could get his sister through college and he could help cure the disease his mom had, instead of fucking risking his life all the time being a fucking shitty little fucking E tier. But whatever, it doesn't matter anymore because he could reincarnate and now he can actually fight these monsters that were kicking his ass time and time before, and you know, reap the rewards of fighting these higher level things, because beforehand he couldn't afford anything because he just did shitty little missions that gave nothing basically and barely survived off that. So whatever, it's all good now. He can level up and become strong. It is really cool seeing him get stronger and fight these stronger and stronger monsters. It's very satisfying seeing him go through the progression of the show, and he has to actually work for it. He doesn't just fucking walk through these enemies. They actually do kind of kick his ass, and it really does feel like he earns the XP and levels that he gets from fighting all these monsters. I like this one bit that they did where if he doesn't do his daily quest of working out, he has to survive these centipede monsters. So it gives him an incentive to actually work on his physical form without it just being, oh, you get fucking XP points from this, even though those are very helpful for him, right? Oh yeah, he also gets special items from it, which are very useful. I like how he does actual gamer shit by putting it into strength, making a strength build for himself, which is a smart thing to do because a lot of the times in these scenarios in games, ability points are a rare resource, right? So it's better to specialize into one thing so you can make the most of your strengths. But also because doing strength builds is cool. A lot of the time in like Dark Souls and shit, I always go for strength builds. So he's just like me for real, dude. It is kind of cringe how he's like, I want to be strong, so I'm gonna put in strength because I was weak before. Whatever. It's a net positive. It's more cool than it is bad. I also like the look of these menus a lot. I get the impression that these are inspired by the new Zelda games. I'm not crazy for thinking this, right? The font feels the same. It's very blue like the Breath of the Wild menus. And I love it because Breath of the Wild is my favorite open world game, so fucking copy that shit as much as you want. I don't care. Yeah, see how much the inventory looks the same as Zelda with the simplified icons there. This section is literally like, oh, it's just like Dark Souls. But whatever, it's cool. I like how it seems very inspired by shit like Zelda or whatever MMO game or RPG. I really enjoy the fact that there were aspects of the show that feel very inspired by video games in real life. You get a sense of the creator actually caring about their product by putting in elements that are from things that they probably really enjoy a lot, like how weapons and this shit break really easily like how they do in Zelda, which is kind of annoying in Zelda, but it's a cool little detail that doesn't really come up again, but it's cool regardless. One thing I don't really like about this show that much is that it can be a bit overly edgy. There's so much of, life is unfair, I'm so fucking weak, I'm gonna fucking die. There's this bit of, oh, you can't fucking trust anyone, people are so selfish. I feel like there's a lot of edgy or dark shows that touch upon this kind of thing. I think it's just sort of overdone. I kind of rolled my eyes at this because I've seen this shit like a million times. It's not really that cool to me anymore. I kind of like the edge from our main guy here. You stupid hypocrite! This dude can be so fucking intense in his delivery that it actually made me uncomfortable a few times. So kudos to whoever voices our main dude. He actually did a really good job, even though it can a bit much and a bit corny at times. The show actually does a good job of retaining your attention. Like, you get introduced to some characters who will probably be more fleshed out later in the story, whether it be in the manhwa or in the next season if that comes out, I don't know. He also has this goal of making this elixir of life to save his mom, right? So there's a lot of intrigue throughout the show that I feel like keeps it engaging for its entire runtime. I have fun watching it, and the animation was actually very fairly solid too. It's not the best out there. I'd rather watch a Trigger show or a Bone show, but I'd say the animation holds up decently well for the most part. Thank you for Jared for being the only person who actually gave me a suggestion. This show was pretty solid. It really retained my attention. I will watch season 2 or read the manhwa whenever I get the chance to, or whenever season 2 comes out. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. That's all the shit that I got recommended by ChatGPT and Jared. It was kind of a mixed bag. I wish it didn't start out good with these two shows and then these shows not being so great. I wish it wasn't so top heavy with the good shows, but Jared coming in clutch with fucking Solo Leveling, and actually pretty solid show. I mean, it was actually really fun to go through all these shows. I wouldn't have watched any of this shit if the AI didn't give me any of this shit, or if I didn't get any suggestions. So it does kind of suck that it reinforced this shit where most anime isn't really engaging for me, but what can you do? There's too much anime out there. Not all of them's gonna be good. I mean, I had fun with these shows, regardless of my overall thoughts on them. That's the fun thing about anime. There's so much out. You don't really know what you're getting until you actually get into the shows. So it was really fun seeing how all these different shows operated. I do wish I got more high quality shows that I could praise, because I don't like making YouTube videos where I shit on anime. I want to show good anime to people. I'm still mad that this fucking AI didn't make me watch Dan Dan Dan. Look at this shit. It's so cool. This song is so fire too. And this art style and animation is sick as fuck. It's so stylized and cool, and fucking ChatGPT didn't want me to watch this apparently. Oh well, maybe I'll get lucky next time. I won't do the YouTube post thing again until I have a bigger subscriber base, so it's more likely that people will actually interact with it and give me shit to watch for the season. But it was really fun getting a bunch of random seasonal anime that just came out through asking ChatGPT. So I think I'll do something similar for next season, probably a little bit earlier in the season, maybe a month in, like the end of January or something. Maybe I'll just skip the AI and use a random number generator. I definitely have a few other ideas where I could get shows to watch against my will for seasonal anime, so I might experiment with one of those ideas if I could get it to work, but we'll have to see. So yeah, that was a wild ride that we got into. There's some good moments, there were some bad moments. Getting a variety of anime gets you a variety of thoughts and opinions. Who would have thought? I think when I get to about 2,000 subs is when I'll make another post about seasonal anime again, because I think at that point there's gonna be enough traction on my channel that there would be enough people interacting that at least like 3 or 4 people would give their recommendations for seasonal anime. And I think with that, that would be enough content that I could actually make a full video going through different seasonal anime. Like and sub, so I'll actually make that post and consider your comments, because after this I'm not taking any comments until I get to 2,000 subs. You can fucking comment on this video, I will ignore it, because you had your chance. This post was up for like 2 weeks, so yeah, fuck you for not fucking commenting. Should have done when you had the chance. But yeah, this was cool. I really enjoyed doing this, and I might do more of it later. Alright, see ya.